Hello, everyone. My name is Marty Guthmiller, and I'm CEO at Orange City Area Health System, bringing to you on February 23rd, the 94th edition of our COVID-19 community briefings. Once again, you probably noticed I am a walking billboard for getting your annual screenings done, not just a skin cancer and dermatologist annual visits, but also for mammograms, colonoscopies, high blood pressure checks, all those kinds of things. It's just a reminder to please get your health screenings. Please take care of your preventative health measures. As we've talked about before, keep that engine tuned. There's a lot of things out there besides the coronavirus, and we have to remember that. And so please keep all your scheduled preventive healthcare items in mind and get them taken care of. And hopefully you don't look like me after that. But anyway, that's why there was no briefing yesterday. That's why I'm coming to you today with some good information again in terms of the rates that are out there. And so we'll jump right into the statistics. And I need to say our statistics are becoming less all the time because the state is changing the format in which some of those numbers are presented. And so it's becoming increasingly difficult to provide you with consistent, comparable data. And we'll talk about that as we go through. First of all, though, I'd like to just start off with our local scoreboard. We have 1,822 positives now, for those of you keeping track, out of 9,398. So our rate dropped slightly overall from the very beginning, 19.4%. Not that important. What was more important was how many positives we had last week, and there was 15 last week. Still out there, so we're still getting some positives. We did 116 tests. So last week we had about a 12% positivity rate on the number of tests we did. In Sioux County, the rate continues to drop. The 14-day average at 3.9%, so the first time we've been below 4. That previously was 6.5 and 6.9. The 7-day average is also 3.9%, 5.2 previously, and 5.3 2 weeks ago. They've messed around with the number per 100,000, so I don't have a comparable number that I can give you anymore with that. And it wasn't that important probably anyway, other than how does Sioux County compare to the rest of the state. We can do that with the 7-day and the 14-day average, and we will in just a moment. Sioux County did have a total of 37 positive, new positive individuals last week. And so again, the numbers still there, but significantly less than they've been. In terms of Region 3, 25 hospitalizations in the 20 county region in Northwest Iowa. That number was 16, so it jumped up a little bit. It was down from 29 2 weeks ago. There are 10 people in the ICU in Region 3, and 2 of those people are on vents. So again, while the numbers are down, that still doesn't make it any better for those 2 people on ventilators. So it's still an issue that's out there. In terms of Iowa, the 14-day average is 4.3%. That was 7.9, so we had a significant drop there, and then 8.8 2 weeks ago. The 7-day average, 4.2, again dropping from 6.1 and 6.6. So when you look at the state averages in the low 4s to Sioux County averages in the upper 3s, we're clearly in a different realm right now, clearly emerging from this pandemic, at least for the time being. In terms of hospitalizations across the state, in terms of Iowans that are hospitalized somewhere, that number is 222, down from 240, and Sioux County has 0, and that is down from 1 the last time we spoke. Number of deaths continue to climb in the state, 5,374. That is an additional 138 deaths in the last 8 days. Sioux County remains at 67. The demographic has not changed. The 14-day rolling average is the lowest that it's been since the inception of the pandemic. So we're at the very lowest level that we've been for some 10, 11 months. One thing to also keep in mind, and another reason to keep that engine tuned and to take care of your pre-existing conditions to the extent you can, is that 92% of the deaths were associated with a pre-existing condition. So if you're eliminating those pre-existing conditions to the extent that you can, you're keeping your engine tuned with preventative checkups, those kinds of things, you're significantly reducing your risk in the COVID arena. And go ahead and live your life at that point. And I think that's part of the message and part of the difficulty now in transitioning is how do we all embrace that? And so good numbers from our stats, very good numbers. We're not over this yet, but we're on the right path. I want to talk a little bit now and transition away from numbers into some things going on. First of all, you may have heard something about mammographies and COVID-19 vaccinations and some chatter on that, if you will. And we've decided here at Orange City Area Health System to embrace a recommendation made by the Society of Breast Imaging. And that is that basically, if possible, and I'm quoting this, if possible, and when it does not unduly delay care, consider scheduling screening exams, so screening mammograms, prior to the first dose of a COVID-19 vaccination or 4 to 6 weeks following the second dose. So either get it before or get it 4 to 6 weeks after the second dose. Why would be a question. And again, I'm not a clinician, but I'm relaying this information that there is the possibility of an inflammatory response in lymph nodes that is a normal response to a vaccine, but that it is being picked up on mammograms and requires unnecessary follow-up, an unnecessary callback. And you don't want to be called back for a mammogram unless it's legitimate. But we feel like on some of those, we would need to follow up with that. And so we don't want to do that for your benefit as well as ours. So again, we are advising screening mammograms either prior to the first dose or 4 to 6 weeks after the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. So hopefully that clears that up. There's nothing wrong with the mammogram technique. There's nothing wrong with COVID-19. It is the body's normal response, as I understand, from a vaccine. And so it's just picked up in that manner. And so not to worry about that, in other words, is the layperson's viewpoint on that. I'm going to jump into vaccinations now. We're going to do about 200 again this week. Our allocation is now 170 per week. So this will be our last week at the full 200 unless our allocation changes. In addition to the 65 plus crowd, we are now accepting teachers 50 years of age and older to get on our wait list. Our wait list is diminishing. We're down to about 214 now on our wait list beyond what is scheduled this week and next week. So we're making good progress with our wait list. We're going to start putting teachers on there, and we'll continue to work through that priority list as supply allows us to. Again, it's all an issue of supply, not our ability to get it in people's arms. Another option that you may have seen or heard about is that late yesterday, we were informed that Hy-Vee has 220 or 30 doses that they have been allocated, and that is on the Pfizer. So that's the super cold version. Certainly they are open to receiving appointments at this point. And so if you would like to do that, I believe it is 65 and older but I believe school teachers have also now been added to their list. And so that is an option that if you'd like to do that, certainly go over to Hy-Vee. I think there's a link on our Facebook page, or you go to the Hy-Vee webpage and you can get on that. Now, the second dose would need to be followed up with them as well, because that is a Pfizer product and we do Moderna. But certainly that is an option, and we want you to avail yourselves to that if at all possible. Regarding our nursing homes, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update there. The regulatory bodies have come out and basically said no change in terms of their recommendations, sometimes requirements for how we run a nursing home. That was very disappointing for us. You know, the regulatory bodies want to see whether the vaccine is as effective as it is supposed to be. You know, and realistically, that's a multi-month process to be able to do that. I understand why they take that position, but at the same time, there are more detrimental things in this world right now to a senior who's been in isolation primarily for almost a year than catching the coronavirus. And so when they're duly vaccinated as they are, they receive the booster dose, a couple weeks past that in terms of the efficacy being in full force, we are going to try to loosen things up in the nursing home to the extent that we are allowed to. We're going to push that envelope within the realms of following the rules. Because like I said, the concern and the balance that we all have to have between isolation and loneliness, quite frankly, is a real factor to consider. And so that's where we currently stand in the nursing home environment. It's all about shots in the arms right now. That's really where we're at. It's what we're trying to do. It's what we're focused on. We just need more supply, and we'll continue to get it out there and continue to work through and communicate as best we can. This transition to from the world we've been living in for the last year to the new world, it won't be back to the old world, but into the new world again, is going to be a tricky thing. And together we'll have to walk through that. We'll have to figure that out. Certainly it's a period of time, again, where extra grace is required and needs to be extended in a bi-directional fashion. And because we've never all been through a pandemic before, and we've never all transitioned out of one before either. And so we're kind of learning as we go. And that's what it's going to be about over the next several months. So I'm going to close today again by saying, stay strong, stay vigilant. It's not over, but the light at the tunnel is getting brighter. And of all else, stay healthy and make sure you get those preventative things taken care of. Thanks again for joining us today.